Baylor absolutely does not have any reflection of their record. They are a team that does their system better than any other team in the country. This team will disrupt you. They bring an incredible amount of intensity to the game, and they all buy into the way they need to play. So I definitely know that it's going to be a real hard-fought game Friday night.
Okay, Sam, we'll go to you. Sam, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm like you, Sam. We got problems, technology.
I know. You'd think we'd be better 8 months in or whatever. But Steph has obviously been one of the key pieces in your offense, not only facilitating but scoring, obviously, as we saw last weekend. What does her experience, what kind of value does her experience bring to your squad so far?
So if you're a recruit right now, Sam, I'm talking to you about development. And what we want is all our seniors to be peaking at this time by your senior year. You know, if you watched Pinto, I call her Pinto, her journey, you know, her freshman year, didn't even see the field. Sophomore year, got a little time. Junior year, got more time. And now senior year, she's really bought into the process and embraced it. And I'm really proud of the way she's playing and how she's impacting, you know, and that is our hope for all our seniors. By that point in your career, are you being the best version of yourself, and are you impacting at that senior level? So I'm really proud of the way Pinto's come in, her mentality and her attitude, and obviously what she's producing.
Next question is from Charles Montgomery. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. So sticking with talking about Stephanie, like Sam asked, she is an international student from Spain. And what kind of effect did you see it have on her with not being able to go home because of COVID in order to play this fall? What kind of effect did that have on her mentality going into this season?
She knew going home, it wasn't, especially Spain was hit hard. So, you know, she knew that being in West Virginia was definitely her safest choice. But just because that was her safest choice didn't mean it was the easiest choice. And it's always hard on us when we're not around family. We're in a different country and you don't know how your family's doing because you're not with them. So the sacrifice that Steffi did was incredible. It wasn't easy. I know it's hard on her that she wasn't able to spend that time at home. You know, our international kids usually get a good, 2 to 3 weeks at home, and Steffi didn't get that. And I'm just so proud that sacrifice and that worry has paid off for her, because making decisions like that are always hard.
Okay, back to Sam. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now this time, Coach? All right. So obviously looking at your left shoulder, you are generally focused on the postseason. But you guys have hung around the top 10 in the national rankings for most of this season. How much stock do you put into that? Especially this year, there are only 15 spots. How much stock do you put into that? Do you really pay attention to it at all?
I mean, it's important. We're always hunting for number one, and we are always hunting consistency. So for other colleagues to feel and to vote, we've earned something. So I always put some value into that there are colleagues and other people telling us that we've earned a vote. So we've earned something. Now, what's important is this strange COVID year. We do want to win championships. We don't know what's going to happen necessarily with the Big 12 championship, if it's going to happen this fall or it's going to happen this spring. But what we do know is we want to put ourselves in position to either win the conference and or this spring get 17 17 bids. It's going to be tough when you don't win your conference tournament championship. So we want to put ourselves in a position where we can do the best we can right now with what's in front of us. So to answer your question, yes, we love being in the top 15, but most importantly, we know that we have to have success because we want to win this conference because it's here, it's right now, and we have 4 games left, and we're in a position to do that. And then hopefully that will carry over if we don't win the conference playoff, that we're in a position to get an automatic bid.
Okay, Nick, we'll go back to you.
Coach, something that we hear from your counterparts who coach American football is that early in seasons, offenses tend to lag behind defenses. Is that something that you've seen be a trend either for your team or for other teams that you've faced in the Big 12? And is that because of how unusual the offseason was?
I'm going to repeat that. I have to process that. So in American football, you say that their attack or their offense is a little bit behind than their defense.
Yeah, that's what coaches will tell you at the beginning of the season. And the reason I ask is because Baylor is a team that kind of, seems to resemble that trend.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Us coaches are trying to figure out the identity of our teams and the attack and understanding how to attack. And we know it's a low-scoring game is always complicated in our sport. Now, losing the spring and not being able to develop, we're developing and trying to find our identity as we go. So I do believe that point. I also believe there's a rhythm, there is a tempo to it, and then there's a chemistry to everything. And like you said, American football, quarterbacks will figure out their best receivers or their best routes and all those things or routes. So I do think something to be said, and I do believe that's what Baylor's doing, as all my counterparts are doing.
Hi, Carly, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you kind of alluded to it with Sam's question, but only 4 more games left of this fall season. So this coming to an end, but it's really just the beginning. Does it feel like the end or the beginning, or we don't know?
I don't know what it feels like. What it feels like to me is I'm developing my team. Like I finally had this opportunity to learn lessons well, where we haven't been successful, but also to see where we are successful. So for me, it's kind of finally having a better understanding of this team and embracing this journey. I didn't get one this spring. And then we kind of got thrown into this weird COVID pod training, and then we kind of got to train as a team, and now we're kind of we are together. So it's a very complicated feeling I have, to be honest with you. I probably feel like I'm more in the middle of everything than at the end, where I am. The fact is, I'm at the end. The reality is I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. So I just have to keep incorporating that we these next 4 are so important for the end.
Okay, Katie, you're next. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to talk about Stephanie Ferrer Van Ginkel. What's impressed you about her play?
Her mentality, her speed of play. When she steps on the field, she knows her job and she's confident in her role, that she isn't afraid to take risks, but she's also very aware that she has to play on both sides of the ball.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, Coach, going back to your previous answer, have you shared things that you've learned through this process with other coaches, either, the ones that are in the same season as you, as y'all talked about it, or the coaches of the sports that are upcoming?
Yeah, we share all the time. I know even Coach Neil Brown, the real Brown, and we've talked and collaborated on a few things, and I'll call him up and be like, what's your sense? Yeah, I mean, my soccer world also. So yes, absolutely. I know Texas Tech, when they had their first commercial flight, he was asking me questions because, we did it before them. There's been such great camaraderie and collaboration in this COVID. It's been so incredibly impressive. And, I'm talking to coaches in the ACC, I'm talking to coaches in the SEC, and we all just want every team to be at their best and safest.
Any other questions for Coach today? Go ahead, Sam.
Sorry, Coach. I wanted to sneak one more in. You mentioned, the possibility of a postseason happening in the spring. What exactly would that look like for your team? If you were to finish, in 4 games, play a conference tournament, then do you have to prepare for another season in the spring? How exactly would that work?
It's my understanding, which is no understanding, but it's my understanding that we would not have, if we played a conference tournament, we would be done pretty much with the Big 12. So if we finish this season out, and we do the tournament this fall, we are done with Big 12. We play non-conference. That is my understanding. If we don't do the tournament, we would have the tournament and then do some non-conference games as of today.
Okay, Coach. Thank you for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate everyone on this call.
Thanks, guys.